Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Evexia Effect. I'm Gilly, and I am talking to you from the wonderful Greek island of Kos. So today's guest is a repeat guest. It's George, who we previously spoke to with regards to recycling and his recycled in company here on Kos. But today he's coming back to speak to us with regards to his wildlife specialism. So this is something that he's studied and is very passionate about, and something which is big here on Kos. There's lots of wildlife, and I'm very excited because it's spring, and in my opinion, there's lots of wildlife about, but I'm not the expert. George is. So, welcome, George. Thank you very much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
So, first of all, tell us a bit about yourself. What inspired your passion to wildlife, and how did you come to study it at university?
I mean, I think I've always been kind of into wildlife and nature. Uh, my parents told me that I was quite observant as a kid, so I would always bring them like different insects in my hands and frogs and lizards that I would catch when I was little. But I was quite into reptiles. When I was like a teenager, I had different pet reptiles and amphibians at home. So I had snakes, I had lizards, toads, frogs. I also had some invertebrates such as tarantulas, scorpions, snails, cockroaches at home as pets.
Wow.
And yeah, I joined some like youth clubs on herpetology. Herpetology is the study of reptiles and amphibians.
Okay.
Comes from the Greek word erpetos, which means to creep or crawl. And then I started researching how I can make this a more professional kind of journey. And there was only one place in all of Europe that offered herpetology as a bachelor's degree, and that was in the UK, in Wales. Not the uh, place with most reptile diversity. As you know, the
No,
UK doesn't have too many reptiles.
not
But
really. No.
yeah, yeah, but it was wonderful to be surrounded by, well, first of all, professors who knew their stuff. They knew so much. And being surrounded by everyone else, like kind of weird like me, who liked not the furry creatures, but the scaly ones. And I studied
Amazing.
it for 3 years for my bachelor's. I did different trips around the world to study reptiles. For example, went to Arizona with my uh, uh, with other people from my course, and we were catching rattlesnakes, and we're sampling their scales, and we went to different places that milked venomous snakes, which means they catch a venomous snake, they hold its head, and they extract venom from its teeth, from its glands, for research and for medicine. And I did so many strange things. But in the end, I figured that science is not the way forward for me because it requires way too much reading and way too much writing. And by the time I made that decision, I already picked up a camera and I started my um, journey as a wildlife filmmaker. And I've been traveling to different places as well, looking for all sorts of animals, including reptiles and amphibians. So I went to Central Asia, for example, to Uzbekistan, and I was the lead herpetologist there in the crew, trying to find as many lizards, tortoises, snakes there, and tell the people about them. So yeah, it was quite a journey. And now I'm here in Kos, and more as a hobby, I lead wildlife trips. So since I went to Uzbekistan, I was also surrounded by quite a few people who were into birds. I didn't understand it at first, but then I got hooked, and now I'm into birds as well. So reptiles, amphibians, and birds. That's where I'm not a specialist, but that's where my interest lies.
It's fascinating. That journey is absolutely fascinating. Like, I wouldn't say that I am so much into wildlife, but I really do appreciate it. But I'm always in envy of people that have knowledge about wildlife, which is why I'm really excited to be talking to you today, so I can learn a little bit more. So when I'm out and about walking, I'm a bit more aware. Um,
Yeah, I should
Kos,
join you on one of your walks. You go
yes,
to Aligas Lake with
yeah, we've
your dog.
spoken
Sorry,
about this
what's the name of your
before, and
dog?
we've never actually done it. So, but yeah, it's definitely something we should do. Yeah.
Yeah, what's his or her name again?
Sorry?
Your dog's name.
Oh, Era, Era.
Ira. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We should go out sometime, and I'll tell you even more than we'll have here in the podcast. But is it okay if I ask you a question as well?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. What kind of interesting wildlife have you encountered around the lake? You've been here for quite a while, and I assume during the walks you must have seen something interesting.
So recently I saw a little baby snake, just last week actually, in the
Oh
middle of the
wow!
path. It was black and greeny coloured, okay, and it was tiny. It
Like
was
with
definitely a
stripes?
baby. Um, More of a pattern rather than stripes, I would say. But it was
Okay.
like a very earthy colour. It wasn't,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. It's the Dahl's whip snake. It's not venomous. It's cute and quite common here.
Yeah, it looked,
And
to be honest,
yeah,
I've never been a snake lover, but as time's going on, I'm appreciating more. And I stood there and looked at it for quite a while before it got scared and scurried away. And it did look quite cute, actually. Yeah, surprisingly. Um, yeah, what else have I seen around like obviously flamingos, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
yeah, they're
During
wonderful.
winter, there is always wild ducks around the lake, and they fly in pairs. They're always in pairs, and there must be about 6 to 8 of them, maybe, but they're in their individual pairs, which I find fascinating. Um,
Yeah.
and there's lots of different birds, but I don't know the difference between them. I don't know what they all are, but there's lots of nice, quite small birds around the lake. And I'm sure there's probably about 3, 4 different types that I've seen, but I don't know. I don't have a clue what they are. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Have you
what I've
seen
seen.
any mammals, maybe? Have you seen any hedgehogs? Have you seen any
No.
shrews? No.
Mm.
Ah, there are loads around the lake. And they just walk. Have you seen rabbits? Have you seen hares?
Not round the lake, but I live close to the Salt Lake, and we do see rabbits and hares
Ah, yeah,
occasionally.
there are quite a bit
In a
around the
few
lake as
spots
well.
from where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Oh.
wonderful that you already
Maybe
have
the
some.
dog scares them off. The dog's a bit erratic, really, so she could scare anything off. Not because she's like aggressive, she's just very playful and full of energy. So yeah, she
Yeah, I
definitely
can imagine.
scared the birds off. Yeah. Um. So I'm going to just go back a little
Yes.
bit
Sorry.
because otherwise we're going to digress into what I've seen, and we'll get into that conversation in a little bit. But what makes the wildlife here on Kos so special?
I like this question. So Kos is very uniquely positioned in terms of both reptile and bird and other wildlife. Um, in terms of birds, it's positioned on one of the main migration routes for birds. So, as you may know, birds they go back and forth every year during spring and autumn, and they migrate during the winter to the south, and then they go back north in the summer. And Kos is not the main wintering place for most birds that go down to south. They usually go to South Asia or to North or Central Africa. But Kos is one of the pit stops where lots of birds stop. And during spring, as you may notice during your walks, or during autumn, you may find loads of different birds. And as for reptiles and other animals that can't uh, fly away, we are located, even though we're part of Europe, we're located very close to Asia. And this also makes the wildlife quite unique on the Dodecanese Islands, you know, including Kos. And we can find species both present in Europe and in Asia, and we are separated from the main continents, so we don't get any new reptiles or invertebrates in. But they also don't escape much. So Kos has been separated for a few million years now as an island, and the populations here, they're quite unique. They are not really found anywhere else.
Wow, fascinating. It is, it's like when you're on an island, it has its bit of its own ecosystem, so things are not coming in or out. Is there like a noticeable change in evolution of wildlife here on Kos? Have you studied like the history of the wildlife?
I've done some research. Unfortunately, there isn't much, so not many people come to Kos or to the Dodecanese Islands to study it. Many islands in the Dodecanese have unique species that are only found there and nowhere else. Now, I'm going to embarrass myself a little bit. It's, I think it's on the island of Samos. It's the only place in Europe where you have chameleons, for example. And they are out in the wild and they are native. In Kos, you must have seen the rock lizards, the
Yes.
agamas.
Yes.
Yes, they are
Quite a big
yeah,
fan.
they're a subpopulation that only exists here in the Dodecanese region, nowhere else in Greece, and
Okay.
they are different from mainland because they are smaller. The thing with islands, anywhere in the world, if you're on an island and you're an animal, you are smaller than what you would be on the mainland. So, for example, if you're an elephant on an island, you're smaller than what you would be on the mainland. And same goes for every other type of animal that you would find.
Why is
And
that?
it's a good question. Something I studied about 8 years ago in university, and I would give you an answer if I remembered, but
Okay, no
I
problem.
only remember it as a fact now, unfortunately. No, sorry. But yeah, it's quite fascinating how it affects all wildlife. And yeah, Kos is quite unique in that sense as well. It's not too big of an island, but it's also not too small for um, animal populations to go extinct.
Okay. Oh, that's really fascinating that. Um, so what are some of the most interesting or unexpected animals that live here on Kos?
Well, even though I see them every time I go out for a walk in spring and winter, I love seeing the flamingos and they're
They just
kind of
brighten up
honking.
your day, don't they, seeing
Yeah,
flamingos?
yeah, yeah. I mean, especially when you see so many of them around the lake, like right now in March and all the way until May. Flamingos, they just are wonderful to see. And when I lead wildlife walks, that's one of the main things people want to see. And I'm so happy to see the flamingos as well every single time. I'm honestly looking through all the flamingos that are close enough for me to see through binoculars or through my camera because I want to spot a flamingo with a ring with a tag on its leg. One has been spotted in Psalidi Lake, the other small lake we have here in Kos. And uh, a ringed bird means that somebody has already caught it, most likely when it was a juvenile bird. And they ringed and marked it with a unique number, and based on this based on these digits you can know where this animal has been found or where it hatched, for example, and you can see part of its migration routes. So I believe that the flamingo that we had in Kos last year with a ring came from Ukraine, and yeah, they go all over the place. So one of the main questions I get asked by people, what happens with the flamingos when the lakes dry out? For your listeners that are not very familiar with Kos, our lakes dry out in the summer. We don't have rain in the summer. We have no clouds in the summer. Um, uh, and the flamingos, they need water to sustain themselves because they eat food out of the water, like small krill and mollusks. They fly away to any other place that has water. So the closest places are in Turkey, in Bodrum. Near Bodrum, there is a large lake where there are flamingos all year round. But they can go anywhere. They can go to northern parts of Africa. They can go to Italy. They can go to Bulgaria. They can go to Montenegro, anywhere. And yeah, flamingos are just so fascinating. We don't have that much pink food in our lakes, so over the winter the flamingos turn kind of white, but they're supposed to be pink. But
Yeah.
when they leave, They find lakes with pink food and they come back pink. So they just kind of fade out in course over the course of the winter. It doesn't affect their
Quite
health,
sad.
but it affects, yeah, yeah, they mostly eat food with carotenoids. So small, um, small animals like small krill that are red or orange in their color, and hence they also turn orange, like humans. If we eat too many carrots, we turn a little bit orange. And yeah, here they get enough food, they get plenty of food, but it's not pink enough for them to turn pink. That's one of the questions I get a lot. Why are our flamingos not that pink? And some other animals are the birds in migration, some rare ones. If you get super nerdy into bird watching, you can show people very unique birds that we have here. Um, I really like the ibises. It's a bird bigger than a crow that also has long legs, and it's called the glossy ibis. It's seen here on migration. It looks like a big black glossy um mini flamingo, but the beak is kind of going downwards and it's a very long beak, and it also goes down and tries to catch stuff in the water. They're only present here for about 1 or 2 weeks per year because they go back and forth and they just use Kos as a pit stop. And reptiles, I just love all reptiles. I love the Greek tortoises that we have here, even though you can get to see them on almost every walk, especially up in the mountains.
Yeah.
They are fascinating animals that live up to, or even sometimes more than 200 years. And they're a vulnerable species because across Asia, especially, they are frequently caught for pet trade. And the population is not doing too well. But in Kos, I see baby tortoises every spring, and that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Have you
Are
seen
they
the small
protected? Is
ones?
there like laws to protect them?
Yeah, they are a vulnerable species according to the IUCN Red List, and that means that they are protected as an animal in Europe.
Okay. You do see them everywhere though. But I do remember I spent some time in Nigeria and you tend to find that they were like tortoises. There you have the African giant tortoise, which are absolutely incredible to see. But the locals would eat tortoise. It wasn't an unusual thing to be doing. So unless you were protecting them, they were going to be a bit of a delicacy for people. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a
And
shame.
we also have sea turtles. You must see them along the coast. Unfortunately, I've only seen the dead ones. They wash up because of mostly plastic waste that they ingest or because they got hit by a boat and they kind of wash on shore. But last year we had a female loggerhead turtle, one of the bigger ones, um, lay eggs on near Marmari on the north coast of Kos, and the eggs hatched. So that was quite exciting. But during COVID, we had many turtles, sea turtles, come on shore because they were undisturbed by hotels and tourism, and they laid eggs and they hatched many baby turtles.
So they had some in Tigaki as well last year as well, which they cordoned off the entire area. And Mastahar is quite common to have um, turtles lay eggs every single year. But I'm just going to ask you a question with regards. Many people mix up the difference between a tortoise and a turtle. Can you explain the differences, please?
Ooh, and there is also a term called terrapin. That's
Yes,
something
yeah,
in
we
between.
have terrapins here on Kos as well.
Indeed. So turtles, terrapins, and tortoises. Tortoises are the ones that live on land. Think of the Greek tortoise, the one that walks very slowly among rocks and nibbles on different grasses and plants. While terrapins, they are semi-aquatic and they live mostly in freshwater. And you can find them all over Kos as well. We have something called the Balkan pond terrapin. And if you move very slowly, you can find them along the banks of freshwater bodies. But if you move quickly, all you're going to hear is a plop in the water because they notice you first. They're not usually very big. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. And then there are turtles, sea turtles. Think of the ones from Finding Nemo. So they can be anywhere from smaller species like the green turtle, sea turtle, to the leatherback turtle, the biggest one. I don't want to lie, but they reach weights of at least 600 kilos. So they are very, very big turtles, and we also have them here in the Mediterranean.
So
They
I
don't go on land. Only the males, they stay in the water from the moment they enter it as small babies. The females, they only go on land about once a year to lay eggs, and then they go back in the water, so they never spend time on land.
I've only ever encountered a sea turtle once while scuba diving in Cyprus. So yeah, and they're very shy. They didn't stick around very long. Yeah.
Yeah, I noted. I was scuba diving near Psidemos, not too far away from here, and I saw a that was maybe 10 years ago, and I saw a green turtle here as well, a live
Lovely.
one.
No, I love turtles. I am in awe of turtles and tortoises. I think they could be my spirit animal. They're just so graceful and they just plod about their way, minding their own business. I think they're
Yeah.
amazing. Um, Here on the Kos, we have lots of diverse habitats. So we have the wetlands, the lakes, the mountains. Can you tell us a bit about the wildlife, um, a bit about the different wildlife you may encounter in these different areas?
Ooh, that's a big question.
We can
So,
split it down.
I mean, we do have quite a lot of habitats and different habitats. It depends on where you are on the island. So, the place where you go for walks with your dog is a wetland area. And we have several of those along the northern coast of the island. So anywhere from Marmari Mastihari all the way up to Psaliri. That is an area quite similar in habitat. You get a mix of saltwater and freshwater, and you get loads of different birds enjoying the water, especially during the winter months. And you get different species of reptiles. You also get invertebrates, such as different spiders and scorpions and scolopendras, which are the millipedes and centipedes. But then you also have mountainous regions, areas, of course, and there you can find completely different animals and forests as well. In the plains down in the up in the northern part, of course, we don't have that many trees. It's mostly fields. And up in the mountains, we get loads of forests. And as far as I know, they've been planted by humans, the forests, but it's because they've been logged. So they're not uh, ancient forests, but still they have wildlife in there that is very different from what you'll find in the freshwater areas. And the foresty mountainous region is completely different from what you'll find on the opposite side of Kos. For example, if you go to Therma, to the hot springs, that area is completely different from anywhere else. It's just dry cliffs, and the wildlife you'll find there is also very different from anywhere else on the island. So you won't find tortoises there, you won't find the typical lizards, you won't find the typical birds. The uh, birds you'll find are unique. You'll find the uh, blue rock thrush, which is unique to that area. Greek people believe that it brings luck. And then we have areas starting from Antimachia all the way down to Kefalos. And that's where you'll find a lot of different small canyons. And the canyons, they take in and kind of move upwards different streams wa- um, of air, and a lot of different birds of prey. They have large wings, and they find it easy to just spread their wings and fly across these canyons because of the air currents moving around there. So that's where I usually go to find birds of prey. That's just a rough outline of what we have here.
It just proves that there is so much diversity here. Yeah. Other than the tortoise, which you mentioned was a protected species, are there any other rare or endangered species here on Kos that we should keep an eye out for?
Uh, yes. Um, I mean, snakes, unfortunately, are quite rare here on the island. So I spend a lot of time looking for snakes. I flip every nice rock that I see to spot as many reptiles as possible. But in a course of a year, maybe I only find five, six, seven snakes, which is a very low number. Like if I did the same in the UK, I'd find a lot more snakes in terms of quantity, not diversity. Um, I think that's because lots of people here have um, this perception that snakes are bad and you should kill them, and especially farmers. And lots of people here, they just kill a snake if they see it. They don't think twice. Makes me very sad, but yeah. So snakes and geckos as well, because of perception that geckos bring bad luck, people kill them.
I always have a
Um,
gecko in the house all summer long, and it never gets
yeah,
killed. It just scurries away and it stays in the house all year.
yeah,
I
yeah.
never have to go
We have two here
outside.
as well. Yeah. We live in Kos Town, like in the very city center on one of the main squares, and we have two geckos in our apartment just running around, eating flies.
Yeah.
And well, of the endangered ones, there are different marine mammals, such as whales and dolphins. They're not doing too well in terms of populations, but you can still see them and find them. um, Octopuses and cuttlefish. You can see them sometimes when you go, for example, snorkeling around the island, but they're also not doing too great because of overexploitation of natural resources from the sea. They don't get too much food themselves. And they don't have enough hiding places, and too many people go out catching octopus. Octopus are the topic of my dissertation in university. So even though I studied reptiles, I chose a completely different animal to study, as I thought they're fascinating animals. They're as smart as dogs and cats. They can do so many different things. Um, and yeah, people don't think twice about octopuses because they're invertebrates. And then we have hedgehogs that are uh, they don't get enough hiding places here. Like in the UK, they're quite vulnerable. I think in the UK they're considered endangered now, if I'm not mistaken, because not
No,
enough
we
hedges.
have in the UK we have like hedgehog rescue centres.
Yeah, yeah,
They're a common place, and if you find a hedgehog, and you can phone the rescue centre, and they come and take it and look after it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it all very, very, very much depends on the ecosystem, on the stability of the ecosystem. If people take care of the environment, if people took more care of the environment, didn't litter, didn't burn their trash outside, and drove carefully on small roads, um, all wildlife would be doing better. So right now I'm just listing things off the top of my head. So I think it's better if I talk about the things that are not that common instead of more vulnerable and threatened species. We have an eagle up in the mountain called the Bonelli's eagle that is quite rare to see. It's the biggest resident bird that we have here. It's huge. It flies around near the Pili area. There is a nesting pair, I believe, around that area, and they are fascinating to see.
Do you know what the
And
wingspan of one of these eagles is?
they're up to 2 meters.
Wow, that's amazing. And I walk around there all the time, and I've never seen one. I see lots of birds of prey round where we are, because where there's chickens, there's birds of prey. But I've never seen anything huge, not like that.
Yeah, yeah. Mostly it's buzzards, the same bird as in the UK.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have two different types of buzzards here. One is a bit bigger, one is a bit smaller. Of other interesting animals, I think scorpions are always fascinating to see. Maybe not for locals because they're used to them, but when people from Northern Europe travel to Kos, they don't expect. they expect Kos to be Europe, so they don't expect there to be scorpions.
Yeah.
But we do have the Mediterranean yellow scorpion here. They are not, according to my research, don't quote me on this. The subspecies we have here in Kos is not as dangerous as the type you will be finding in North Africa, so they're not deadly here. And we have the black widow spider here. I only saw it once, but that's one of the venomous, dangerous spiders we have. Um, and then there is, of course, the Ottoman viper, the snake I want to find the most. The snake I've talked to locals about for years now, and they told me that they haven't seen them in years. And the last time it was quoted in research and cost was back in the 90s. So it could very well be extinct,
What is the color of
unfortunately.
one of these snakes? What are the markings?
They're They vary a bit, as usual. In biology, there is no one exact thing, but they're mostly grayish beige, and then they have a dark zigzag on the back. So almost like an adder in the UK. But they're bigger and they're chubbier, and they have a large triangular head. And there is also an amphibian, a frog. Um, If you allow me a second, I will look up its English common name because the Latin name is Pilobatus syriacus. Pilobatus syriacus. And they are probably extinct because of all the hotels that uh, are being built and have been built on the north coast of Kos Island. So it's a very small frog um, that enjoys clean wetlands. And I don't know if your viewers are using the audio version of the podcast or if it's a visual experience for them, but they look like this.
Okay, so
Uh,
that particular frog, those markings of that frog, I get a frog in my garden every year.
they're similar.
It's,
They're
it's
similar.
very similar markings, but I'm not sure about the big googly eyes.
Yeah, it's called the Syrian spade foot frog in its common name. I did not know that. I only know the Latin name. I talked to herpetologists in Greece, and they asked me multiple times over the course of 3 years I've been here to go out to different spots around Kos to find at least the tadpoles for these frogs. But unfortunately, I haven't been able to spot them. There could be still some living out in the wild, but these are probably the most threatened amphibian we have here on the island because all the spots where they used to live are now hotels.
Okay, so a few years ago, I don't know whether it's the same frog or it might probably a different frog, but 2019, I want to say it is. Um, I was working in a bar randomly, and I don't know what happened. We must have had some like wet weather or something, but the bar had an infestation of frogs for like 2, 3 days. We were constantly catching, and it wasn't just like one, two, three frogs. It was hundreds of frogs every day. We were catching frogs and taking them outside. It was it was crazy,
Wow.
and I've never seen anything like that since, and I've never seen anything like that before. But that's Tigaki. That's around Tigaki way.
Interesting. Yeah, there is a similar looking toad on the island. It's the European green toad. It also has markings, but it has different eyes, so it looks
Oh,
like
that's
this.
probably the one that is
That's the
resident in
one
my
you
garden
see
now.
most common here
Yeah.
in Kos. Yes. It's the breeding season for them right now. So if you go out to Tagaki, to Alikes Lake, especially to where the reeds are growing, in the background you'll be hearing like a sound, and that is the toads' mating call. They are uh, making their future generations right now in
You
March.
wouldn't expect them to sound like that. That's
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
toads are fascinating creatures as well. Even though toads and frogs are pretty much the same thing, toads are much more resilient.
Amazing. Fascinating. So we briefly spoke about snakes and venomous snakes, etc. And we talked about how snakes, many people are scared of snakes. It's not just here on Kos, the whole world, unless you understand snakes, there's this general perception of fear of snakes. So can you reassure our listeners um, about the ones here on Kos, and are they really dangerous, the snakes that we have?
So most of the snakes that we have here on the island are not dangerous. Again, the only dangerous snake we are supposed to have is the Ottoman viper. Also, it's one of the endemic species, one found only on the Dodecanese Islands in Europe, nowhere else in Europe. The other places you'll find them is in Turkey and other places in um, Asia, especially Central Asia.
Yeah.
Um, I could share my screen to show you its pattern, if that is okay.
Oh, yeah, that'd be wonderful.
I haven't thought of that. I was pointing at my phone. Okay, can you see my screen right now?
Yes, yes. So for those that
Okay.
aren't watching the video, it is like a dark brown and a beige coloured snake with the scales, and it's like a zigzag that goes down the back of the snake.
Yeah, it's like a thick zigzag. One of the ways to distinguish a venomous from a non-venomous snakes, if you observe it carefully, is that venomous snakes very often have vertical pupils like cats.
Okay.
Also,
So,
very often, venomous snakes have big triangular heads. So the head is very obvious, and you can see where the head starts and head ends.
okay.
While non-venomous snakes, they look like a string. You don't really see the separation between the head and the body.
Okay, that's
Um, it's a
useful
beautiful
to know,
snake.
really.
Here is a beautiful specimen on the right. Um, these snakes, again, I've talked to many people who go out hunting or photographing wildlife or just going out on jogs. They have not seen this snake in many years, but this is the only one you can find here in Kos that is actually dangerous. So if you, especially if you're allergic to bee stings or wasp stings, a bite from this snake could be lethal. But uh, if you are not allergic to bee stings, most likely it's only going to be very, very painful for you, and it's still highly recommended to go to the hospital if something like this snake bites you.
Do they keep
Um,
the anti-venom in stock here on Kos?
I
Just
highly
wondering.
doubt it. I think they would just provide you with some salts to your body to help fight the venom, but otherwise, your body would be able to handle it on its own. I think worst case scenario, they're going to fly you to Rhodes or to Athens for treatment in case you have an allergic reaction. These snakes, they have a type of combination venom that uh, makes, I'm going to try to simplify it, makes the tissues where it bit you die, and the blood also starts to clot in that area. So it's dangerous in two types of ways. Other venomous snakes around the world, they have all different sorts of effects on the body, like neural effects. You cannot move your body, for example, or heart-stopping effects, mediatory venoms. But this one clots the blood in your body, and that could be dangerous if you're allergic to it. But
However, we've
it
not seen
most
this
likely,
snake
yeah,
forever.
yeah, most
Yeah.
likely you will not be seeing this snake, and if you do, just don't touch it, and it's gonna leave you alone. It's way more scared of you than you are of it.
So if
Um,
people come across
yeah.
any snakes, what is the go-to action? Um, Firstly, out walking, and then secondly,
Oh,
in your
yeah.
own home or in your workplace.
So if you're out on a walk and you notice a snake on your path, don't step on it, don't run towards it, don't attack it. Just leave it alone. It's gonna see you before you see it. So most likely, by the time you've reached the snake, it has already crawled away from you, slithered away from you. Um, but if it was just enjoying the sun and uh, they're cold-blooded animals, they need sun to get energy. It didn't have enough energy to slither away from you fast enough. Just give it a minute or two, and it's gonna slither away into a spot where it feels safe, and just keep on walking the same path. It's not gonna jump out on you from where it's hiding. It's just gonna keep hiding further and further away from you. That works for every snake we have in Kos. There are other snakes around the world that will proactively attack you. For example, in the Caucasus region, there are large snakes that will be chasing you for a bit. But the ones we have in Kos are very shy. Um, if you find a snake in your home, it's also best to leave it alone to see where it crawls away. And then, if you're located in Kos, contact me. I will come and I will pick it up and I will take it to a habitat that is suitable for the snake, and I will release it there. If it's not in Kos and I cannot reach you, it's best to call a local wildlife rehabilitation center and ask them what to do about this snake. It's great if you have the chance to take a photo of the snake so they can tell you if it's dangerous or not. Uh, Most snakes in the world are not venomous, so the chance of you finding a venomous snake is quite low, but never zero. And
Is it
don't
possible
try.
for,
Yeah, yeah.
sorry, is it possible for somebody like myself that maybe I'm not really that scared of snakes to capture the snake and release it back out? Would you recommend that? Is there a method to do it?
Definitely, definitely it's possible. If you're not super scared of snakes, it's possible. So, what you would want to do is kind of corner the snake in an area where it cannot hide. And don't try to pick it up with your hands. Either use a stick, uh, a cane, or maybe something with a hook on the end to pick up the snake by the body, put it in a bucket, and take it outside. But snakes are quite territorial. So if they have a home, they know this home. It's like dogs or cats. They know if you take a cat outside, it knows how to get back in. Um, the same goes for snakes. So it's again best to um, reach out to a local wildlife rehabilitator and ask where to place this snake that you found. Um, if you want to pick it up by hand, maybe wear some grilling gloves and pick it up, because any snake picked up is going to bite. That's their only way of defense. They don't have anything else to use. I don't know if you've played with small kittens before, have you?
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we have adopted, my wife and I, we have adopted a kitten about a year ago from the streets here in Kos. And I can tell you that a playful kitten hurts way, way more than a bite from an adult snake.
Okay.
So most snakes are not venomous, and if they bite, either you don't notice it, or you notice it because you have two very small dots on, like let's say your hand, with very small marks of blood. But I've had much worse bites and scratches from our cat just playing with me than from all the snake bites
Yeah.
I've had in my life, even from big snakes that I've kept in tanks. But yeah, it's
Well,
very
that's
much
good to
possible.
know. That is
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah, for some people, for some reason, people are very scared of snakes, and I think it's because people think that the snake is going to attack out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But snakes, that's not the reason for a snake to exist. The snakes, they don't want to attack people. That's not the reason for snakes. Snakes are there to be part of their ecosystem, to balance it out. And they've been on our planet for way longer than we have, for millions and millions of years more than we have. So it's more that humans are in the snake's territory than the snakes are in ours. The snake on the screen that we have here is called the Dahl's whip snake. and it's one of the more common snakes that we have here in Kos. Um, it is a little bit venomous, but not to humans. So there are different types of venomous snakes. Some snakes are not venomous at all, like constricting snakes. They kill their prey by constricting the animal, like a mouse or a rabbit. Then there are snakes that are a little bit venomous, so only their back teeth have venom. So in order to uh, bite a person, for example, and give the person venom, they would need to kind of chew on the person for quite a while and swallow one of the fingers of a person to administer the venom, which never actually happens. So these snakes you catch quite often. I catch quite often, and while looking at them and photographing them and registering them in the herpetological systems, I get bitten quite a lot of times by these snakes, but then they relax and then they understand that there is no point in resisting. Um, Another snake we get quite often is the black whip snake. It's the largest snake we get in Greece, the longest snake we get in
Seen it a
Greece.
fair few times on the road.
They they grow up to 2.5 meters long, and they are they they are very fast. They're probably the fastest snake we have here on the island. They see you before you see them, and they disappear in a matter of seconds if there is any shrubbery or rocks nearby. But on Kos, we have about 11 types of snakes. They range from um, the European um, blind snake, just from the size of smaller than the palm of your hand. Snakes that live underground, eat ant larvae, don't have any teeth, are not venomous. As you can see, it has a little eye over here, and a person is holding it with their fingers. I see them
Looking
quite
more
often
like
in
a worm
April.
than a snake.
Exactly, exactly. If anyone saw the snake, they would think that it's a worm, but it's actually a snake. It has two eyes, and it does the same thing as another snake. It sticks out a little tongue, flips it around. It has bones, it has ribs, it has lungs, it has a heart, it has everything we have, but it's just the size of a worm, which is incredible. And yeah, the largest snake we have is the black whip snake I showed you, but the largest reptile in all of Greece is probably the leatherback turtle, which is not a snake, still a reptile, but they are huge animals.
Wow, amazing. Absolutely incredible. So let's move on a little bit. So you said that people can go out on wildlife walks and you can join them, so you can share your knowledge. Um, so what do you think people gain from this experience whilst you're out walking with them?
Mm, it depends on the person, of course. Um, I have some people come to me with the idea that they just want to spend time out in the wild. They want to explore the nature. They just want a nice walk up in the mountains or around the lake. They ask me questions about flowers, insects, butterflies, and I keep telling them that I know nothing about it. I only know things about snakes and birds. And then there are people who arrive in Kos, and prior to arriving, maybe half a year earlier in the winter times, like right now, people send me a list of birds that they want to see because they're avid birders. They tell me that I want to see this and this and this bird, and let's make a plan to go to all the areas where I can spot them because nerdy bird watchers, they have lists called life lists. This list is a list of all the birds that you've seen in your life and actually seen them, actually spotted them. And traveling from Northern Europe to Greece means that you might encounter some birds that you've never seen before. And with these people, I don't just walk around a lake casually. We are determined. We go from spot to spot.
What a mission!
And yes, yes, we are very dedicated bird watchers there. We don't spend time, we don't waste time looking at butterflies and scorpions. we don't flip rocks for snakes. Rather, we go around and we listen for or we observe specific birds that we're out there to find. So it all depends on the person. Some people come to me just to look for reptiles. Last year, I had two couples come just to look for reptiles with me because it was springtime and they were very much into reptiles. They didn't care much for birds. So we walked around, we flipped some tiles, some rocks, and we found some snakes, some lizards, some tortoises, and terrapins. They're quite happy about that.
Amazing. So nature, it's getting more and more common to know that nature is good for your mental and physical health. So it's no secret anymore. We need to be more out in nature. Have you noticed a shift in more people wanting to connect with nature and the natural world over recent years?
Mm, personally, no, I have not. But I have noticed that some people have become more interested in learning, and curiosity leads to more hobbies and more ways to explore the surroundings. And if people choose to do so, they turn that attention to nature. And when they do, those people become um, quite interested in all sorts of wildlife, but also they become very active um, citizen scientists, and they submit information that they find to local Facebook groups or to local research facilities, and that helps researchers both on a local and a global level to help wildlife in way like in terms of science. And that is what I found in recent years to be more and more prevalent compared to, let's say, 10, 20 years ago when it was only specialists and
Yeah.
scientists who went out and submitted that information. There are loads of different, uh, very convenient apps and websites to use. When I go out on a walk, I have my phone on me all the time. I have several apps open at the same time, and I switch between them on my walk, so I'm not doing all the thinking myself. If I hear a bird call that I'm not familiar with, I launch a specific app, and it tells me what bird it is. It's like Shazam for birds. And this recording can be proof that this bird exists in Kos, or a migration route has changed because of climate change, or this bird just accidentally ended up in Kos instead of Eastern Siberia. That has happened. But there are also apps that I can note down how many of each birds I find, and that information I send off to national and international communities of bird watchers and scientists. They use that a lot. And then there are apps that you can just point your phone at a plant, at a tortoise, at a cat, and it tells you what it is, and it registers it. And with
Okay.
such, yeah, it uses both AI and internal algorithms. I'm not sure how it works, but it works pretty accurately. I don't know much about plants. So whenever I point it at a flower, an orchid, for example, now is the
Yeah.
season for orchids in Kos, I am quite excited to learn about it. I didn't know much about plants, but now I know that there are so many different types of such cool flowers here. And people when they start being curious, they start using things that are convenient to them, and I think apps nowadays are very useful. You can just
Yeah.
point your things at or make your phone listen to something and it tells you what it is, and the more curious you are, the more you start learning, and it's a never-ending circle, so you kind of get absorbed into it.
So if somebody was starting to appreciate wildlife and they're a complete beginner, doesn't know where to begin, what kind of advice would you give to them?
Mm, I think it's important to start by observing your surroundings. So it could even be your garden, or it could be a local park. It could be a local national park. It's all about it's all about being curious. So again, it very much depends on the person, and if the person wants to learn more, that means that there is already curiosity there. Um, it's very easy nowadays to just Google things. And when you start researching things, you end up with literature or articles or websites where, again, you start learning more and more about the topic of your interest. And that leads you to communities that help you discover and understand more about your local wildlife. And I think community is key to um, um, any hobby or interest, but especially things like wildlife, where both experts and novices get to discuss something that they found. There is a bird group on Facebook called Birds of Kos, and we have people who know nothing about birds and they just post photos of strange birds that they've seen. And we have experts taking photos and submitting photos, very professional photos, and they both provide crucial and very important information about the local wildlife. And yeah, again, uh, looking up ways to communicate with your community and reading up on the topic that exactly you're interested in is what can make you fall in love with wildlife.
Amazing. Those groups, you'll have to send me the links, and then when we
Yeah, of course.
publish the podcast, we'll put them in the link so people can go to those groups. Um, so we're gonna move on again. So
Yeah, of course.
you're very much about recycling, environment, all those kind of things, the really important aspects of our world. So how can people simply support and respect the wildlife whilst enjoying the outdoors? This is your expertise here. Go for
I don't want to say expertise, but
it.
something I am uh, quite into. Um, so I think it's quite important to stick to trails and not veer off them on your trips, because the more you walk around, the more you disturb nesting birds and insects and different wildlife. Luckily, around one of the important things I think is sticking to trails, especially if you're just walking around or walking with your dog. Uh, Dogs and cats, they can cause quite a lot of disturbance to wildlife. So if you're not walking off the trail with or without pets, uh, it's good to stick to the trails because then you don't disturb hares, snakes, insects, etc. And around the lakes, we see quite a lot of horse riding with tourists or without, and they don't stick to the trails, which disturbs quite a lot of nesting birds. So, in the beginning of the podcast, you said that there are ducks in pairs flying around, and these are called ruddy shell ducks. I will quite find a quick photo. They are bright orange colored ducks.
Yeah.
They are fascinating and they sound like clowns. They sound like
Yes, yeah, they do.
uh, yeah, they're quite funny. But they nest on the ground and close to the lake, but not too close to the water. So that's exactly where the horses walk around. The horses, they don't look down for nests. So if they do trample them, that makes yeah, the situation much worse for the birds. And obviously, picking up your trash, picking up the trash that you see on the way, is good because on a bigger scale, any plastic by encountering too much sun and oxygen over time turns into microplastic and enters our water and the groundwater in the ground and pollutes our water, which is not good. And if it's just big pieces of plastic, animals can ingest them or they can get stuck in them, and that is also not good for wildlife. I've seen snakes stuck in plastic or in nets, and that's just very sad to see. And then I think it's just uh, also, yes, another thing. It's important not to feed animals. So if you see any animal, like a hedgehog, for example, it's not a good idea to feed it. The animals, the wildlife is made to find their own food, and feeding animals can be both potentially dangerous to the human and to the wildlife.
Okay, that's good advice there. If somebody wanted to go on a walk and learn more about the local wildlife, what areas would you recommend?
I always recommend walking around the big lake that you and I both like, Alikes Lake in
Perfect.
Kos. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to walk around. It has somewhat something resembling trails. It has loads of wildlife, and it's just so beautiful to see. You get the view of the mountains and the lake itself, especially in the winter months. In the summer months, the lake looks kind of like a moon because of all this dry, yeah, because the
Yeah,
lake dries out and there's only salt remaining. But yeah, I think it's just a stunning place, and it's so quiet there, and not too many people go there. And if there are people, the lake is quite big for you to find a quiet place for yourself, and just uh, it's a little bit about mindfulness as well, just staying there and enjoying nature. But I also love the mountains. They're also stunning if you go up to the Pili area and you can see the lake from there as well. Um, it's also wonderful to see, and uh, if I go to Therma, I always try to find a quiet little spot to observe birds there, birds of prey, and the bare cliffs together with the birds of prey flying around. It's something completely different to what you would see in a lake. And
amazing.
even if you're staying in Coast Town and you don't have personal transport and you want to explore the nature around, it's possible. I mean, Psaliti Lake is not too far away. You can bike to it. Or if you're staying in Kos Town, even in Kos Harbor, we get interesting birds. Like last year, we had a pelican in Kos Harbor for
Yeah,
three
yeah,
weeks.
yeah.
That was something strange. And yeah, we get records in Kos Town quite often of interesting birds. You get unique birds of prey flying around here, like the Eleonoris falcon, a bird that travels from Madagascar to Kos and other Mediterranean countries every year, 9,000 kilometers back and forth. And they fly along other smaller migrating birds like swallows, and they eat them along the way. And they nest on the neighboring islands of Kos, but they come here to feed. And you just see them flying around eating beetles, and they're beautiful, beautiful falcons. And just here in Kos Town, while enjoying dinner in a tavern, you can observe so much wildlife. And there are yeah, you can see so many things. If you go snorkeling around Kos Town as well, especially uh, close on the way to Ferma with more rocks rather than sand, you can find so much wildlife. My wife and I would go snorkeling and we see octopuses, we see cuttlefish, we see um, stingrays, barracudas, those big, big fish with
Yeah.
sharp teeth. So many interesting things. It's all about being curious and being open-minded to exploring.
Amazing. Well, I've learned so much today, lots, and I'm ready to go out walking and search for all these things now. So thank you so much for this
Yeah,
whole
thank
chat.
you.
It's been a great learning curve and hopefully educates some of our listeners. And a big thing for me was that taking away that fear of some of the wildlife that we have here on Kos. And hopefully, we'll get more people into the wildlife, looking for the wildlife. It is a great place to come during spring, autumn time, is Kos. It's not the tourist destination during those months, but the wildlife is incredible. So I do encourage people outside of Kos to come during those times, and you're going to see a completely different Kos to what you see in summertime.
Green, full of flowers and wildlife. Oh, it's
Yeah,
wonderful.
it's perfect. Spring's my favorite time of year. I keep on telling everybody I'm always got a spring in my step during spring. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I
Well,
completely understand. It's full of flowers now, especially in the
yeah,
mountains. It's full.
yeah,
There's so many different colors, and they change every other week or so. And yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's you just automatically smile with it. But anyway, well, thank you very much.
thank you
Thank
so
you to
much, Julie.
everybody listening today to the Avexia Effect. If you've liked this episode, please comment, please press like. If you want to listen to more episodes from the Avexia Effect, please subscribe to our channel on Spotify and you'll get our updated. We're publishing podcasts every few weeks now, so it's amazing. And we're talking everything about wellness, everything about Kos, and hopefully giving you a happier, healthier life. Thank you very much. Thank you, George.
Thank you for having me.